go. Woo. Go ahead.
I feel that I need to start like yo 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 after that.
Please don't ever do that. Please never do that.
I just did.
Don't. I mean again, ever again.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Juan. I mean, it's already been a year. We're what are we 9 days into this year? I've already messed up putting down the year at least 9 times now. So because every single day, I know. Congratulations, you're one of us.
Yes. Yeah. It's hard.
I know, right? Well, everybody's wondering why they're watching us. So, hey, everybody watching, welcome to another episode. They're actually more like episodes. I feel like at this point because
they're turning more into episodes now.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? These episodes are getting harder. I mean, so hard that it's literally trying to pull teeth out of certain people to talk and say things that are important. And hopefully in today's episode,
we're going to be talking about hardening too.
Yeah, exactly. And one will have a lot of good things to say, and the other person will just say a lot of things. So it should be interesting. But yes, for those watching, this is all for you, the partners, part of the Central Mafia family, and people that aren't. We're okay. Like as the Mafia movies say, like a friend of ours or a friend of his or a friend of mine, they're all friends of ours, period. So with that said, though, Juan, any more background we should talk about before we get started even?
Yeah. So this is our first episode of 2025. These are monthly webinars, like you said, and we're going to be talking to the PitchIT winner for 2024. So we're very excited. We met him. I met him. You probably know him for a long time, but I had the chance to meet Zach last year at Connect, and we're very excited to have them today. So again, like Sean said, I'm Juan Mack. I am the facilitator for the Central Mafia, but also with Matrix Integration. We're an MSP, and we're just going to kick it off here. So these are, I can control the slides. There you go.
That, yes.
There we are.
Good thing that Juan already introduced himself. So now you know Juan. Now let's talk about Sean. The other
Sean.
Juan completes me. Sean Lardo here from IT Nation. Been around. I actually, for a lack of a better term, I co-facilitate in a way with Juan for Central Mafia, and been in the space for 15 plus years. And most of my friends are MSPs, obviously, because they're equally as train wrecked as I am. So we get along somehow. It's weird.
Yep. And I was going to say, we've been doing this for a long time. When I was getting ready for the slide deck, I was trying to keep things organized, and I had to create, my new folder for 2025. And this is year 3. We started doing this in 2023 when we, Sean and I met, and we are, over the years, look at that. We've become very good friends. It's fun to go to Google Photos and it's like Sean and me.
Wow.
But the cool thing is we're both passionate about this community, the user group, growing the user group, and that's the purpose of creating these sessions. I'm trying to educate everybody.
I forgot about the hookah. I forgot we were still going to hookah.
Yeah, that was in
Tampa last February. Yeah. I know. Whew. Okay, good.
So we're very excited about the having all these for all of our partners, for all the community, and building this through education. So this is a partner-led community. So if you're watching live or watching the recording, we love your feedback. We want you to engage. You can use the chat either through our LinkedIn or YouTube. And you can go in and interact if you have any questions. And we have a lot of sessions planned for this year. More than last year, actually, when we met, it was like we need to, there's so many things that we want to cover that we're actually adding more sessions.
And for those, the reason why we're adding more sessions is just the fact of the matter is as MSPs, you have so many moving parts, and there's so many practices and procedures, and it's gone. I feel like it's jumped 2 to 3 fold at this point from 2020 to now, from 2019 to now. The involvement of MSPs in businesses and everyday business decisions have become so big that you've seen this skyrocket in vendors being created with so many different offerings, along with MSPs that are in need of so much understanding, education, and best practices, and how to integrate things, how to implement, how to customer service, help that. It doesn't really matter, but there's so much of it now at this point. It's just become almost overwhelming at times. So I can't see us not adding more sessions and adding more. I mean, we do this once a month, but we might have to do this more than once a month, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because we want to hear from, educate and hear from everybody. So if you want to stay up to date on what is happening, there's different ways of doing that. One is our Slack channel. That's a good way to, and again, post your questions, ideas, see what's upcoming, and also on LinkedIn. So we're live on LinkedIn right now. That's where you're going to see all the upcoming sessions, the open mics, the topics. You can also have access to the previous recorded ones, and all this is also uploaded into our YouTube channel. So go back in there. You can just review the previous one. I was actually pretty excited because we had a meeting here, an internal meeting, and we're talking about automation. And one of my colleagues here is like, "Oh, you guys have to watch this from the Central Mafia," and he actually sent a link internally. I was like, "You have to review this because Juan last year was talking about it." I was like, "Oh, fantastic!" So
you're a celebrity.
I know. So it's you feel free to go in there and see all our past webinars, past recordings. You can see how we have evolved over the last 2 years.
You're right. You know what? And now you can go to work and start every meeting with yo yo yo, play the music and go, and then start your meeting.
Yes. That is not my entrance meeting though. My entrance song. My entrance song. It's a different one, but. I'll keep that one.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry to get your entrance song
different
right.
Conversation.
Oh,
that'll be the third webinar of the month.
Anyway, moving on. So now we're here. For those of you that want to be part of the list, please let us know, because we do have a newsletter starting to go out that just went out recently. We're gonna get these out monthly to talk about what's happening in the industry. There will be articles written by partners about what they do for best practice between business and professional, or rather business, professional and personal. So it's a great wealth of content within this. And again, it's all partner first led everything. So it's up to you guys can see it. You can be part of it. If you guys have any suggestions or any questions you want us to get some sort of content out there, you can always request it.
Great segue. So we will have, like I said, we're going to have now 3 sessions every month. Sean was talking about, there's a lot of products, and a lot of partner best practices. So we decided, like, hey, let's go ahead and have like vendor guests in our sessions, just like today, and then also have a partner that is going to talk about their experiences, all the different best practices. So right now they're kind of like on the second and third Thursday of the month. We're going to keep the Thursdays, and then we're going to also keep the open mics, or kind of like bringing back the open mic. I think I was slacking there last month or so. So we're going to bring that back as a Teams meeting, so everybody can join in, ask all those different questions. It's open mic, so there's not a specific topic. And we always have, a lot of great feedback, great conversations in there. So open mic is going to be next Thursday. It was originally scheduled for next Thursday, so we're going to have it there. And then on the following Thursday, we have a partner led. And Sean also mentioned like that work-life balance. We're going to, from our newsletter, we're going to talk about how do you keep up to date with the industry changes, all those news, and how do you manage that work-life balance. And we'll have a couple of partners in there just talk about all that.
Wow. So these are great pictures. These are when I brought my kid to work day pictures.
Yeah.
We got professional headshots done with my kids, Zach and Henry. Not sure what's going with Why do we have a Purdue logo on there?
They're both Boilermakers.
That doesn't make it right. My condolences.
And this is like Hoosier country down here. And everyone's like, oh, go Hoosiers. And then when I saw it, I was like, oh, I have to put the logo in there. So there you go. I'm not a Boilermaker, but I had to put the logo there for them.
So yeah, there's that. So they look really studious. We actually, like I said, we took these pictures when it was Bring Your Kid to Work Day, and I brought my 2 kids. I did twins. Okay, let's move on. From Senteon.
So we have today Zach and Henry from Senteon, and we're going to be talking about compliance, hardening.
No way of telling. We're gonna find out what happens. I'm scared now about their internship they're doing with us now.
Yes.
Let's just get them on now. We have no way of going. We have to get better. Hi, kids.
Hi, kids. Hey, Dad.
How y'all doing?
Okay, do better. Ask for the picture they want to have on the slide.
Yeah, no, I like that better. I'd rather find.
Or I'll go to Facebook and then just find them.
Where did you get that headshot?
Is still me in a captain suit from Threat Captain making that for me.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's see. Where did he get that picture from? I'm assuming he probably Googled it.
Yeah.
It used to be my LinkedIn profile picture, but I changed it a long time ago. No?
It's your guys' website.
Yeah, I gotta update that one. I'm never gonna update Zach's. His is staying on the website like that forever, but I'll update everybody else's.
Nice. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it looked good. It looked good, guys. Anyway, all right. So let's talk a little about you guys here. We'll go. I'll go, and from my screen's left to right, which is Henry then to Zach. At least that way I know Henry will be able to talk a few times.
Have you done these interviews before with us?
Yeah, I know you will. See, all right, Henry. So let's give a little bit of background. Why should people even listen to you, man?
Because Sean Lardo was my father.
Fair enough. That was actually really good. Whew, okay. Any other good reasons?
About who you know. Allegedly, I know a few things. I know a few things about security. Not that many, but a couple. Yeah.
Let's talk about that. What's your background? Obviously, you're from Purdue, so you went to Purdue.
Proud Boilermaker. Yeah, I mean, background, Purdue University. Did a little time in a SOC with Cisco. Got to work in the cornfields of Archer Daniels Midland, doing IT vulnerability management for all the corn stalks out there. So that's an interesting experience.
So you protected the corn stalks.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Got a lot of corn out there.
You're such a.
Well, no, he's from Indiana.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I know what you mean.
So you protected corn also? That's amazing. Wow.
Yeah, I'll protect them by not running into them.
Oh, well,
somebody's got
that would never be a problem for me because is that what it is? All right, so went to Purdue. When did you graduate? Your freshman year this year? Congrats.
Yeah. I'm still in school.
Based off that picture, you're still in school.
I'll be in school for another 8 years.
Oh God. All right, well, Zach, background on you since Henry is so full of so much information about himself.
He's thrilling to pry data out of, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
like literally.
Zach Kromkowski, co-founder to this guy here on the screen with me. I actually met him at Purdue. He was getting his major in cybersecurity, and I was getting my minor. So we actually met in class one day, interesting enough. And realistically, I graduated, went into sales for the Fortune 500 companies, and we always stayed in touch. And eventually he shot me a message saying, I have an idea and don't want to sell it myself. Could you help out? And that's effectively where we ended up really, I guess, the initial form of a Senteon go-to-market strategy 5 years ago.
Nice. And so Purdue, like you said.
Yep.
But you don't. Where are you living these days? Just curious.
Really depends on the month you ask me. I have officially moved into my RV. So currently I am posted in Northern California, San Jose area. I'm safe. So prayers out to everyone in Southern. It's definitely our grandfather's out there. I don't know if you've talked to him. So hopefully he's doing all right.
Yes, I talked to your grandfather, Zach. He's fine.
Shout out to Keith Nelson there. But I'm very much excited to be moving in here. I think the biggest learning was realizing even if the RV is ready to move in ready rather, there's still a bunch of projects that you can come up with and ways to make it your own. And a project never takes 15 minutes, no matter what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Never.
Very true. Very true. All right, so let's talk about Senteon then, real quick. Well, not real quick. The rest of our conversation about Senteon. That's not real quick.
42 minutes on Senteon. I'm all in. Can I do this monthly? You said
no. What's your elevator pitch? What does Senteon do?
So we harden workstations, servers, and browsers to security best practices. So realistically, what this means is that we are actually making the changes in configurations on the OS and the browser settings so that you can be more compliant, eliminate all the red marks from your configuration scanning tools, and ultimately just make a impactful difference quickly instead of just knowing about the issues.
Making them hard. Okay, good.
He's good at his job, isn't he?
I think I did that without using the word hard for once. I mean,
that's why I said it at the end.
This is why I keep the hat on, because I'm starting to get too professional where I actually use verbiage about the tech instead of the tagline.
Yeah, you're doing well. You're doing really well. That's why I threw it in, because I felt naked.
One of the things, because I remember you guys from Connect, right? And when you were actually showing the product, you guys use I think the approach that you guys use is very, very unique. We're talking about a lot of people think they're making those configurations through some settings, and there's kind of a misconception on that, and that's kind of and that's what I think what got my attention. Like, you actually going in, it's like, we're going to make sure that these things are happening with when it comes to security, and then aligning that to all the different frameworks and compliance.
We're just trying to follow, I think, security best practice as far as we're concerned. So trust but verify. Not that we trust what we see from Microsoft very often, but we definitely at least verify that what they're telling us is correct. And so methodology there is definitely just around making sure we're gathering our own data and verifying that what people think should be on their systems is actually there.
Yeah. That trust but verify is one of the biggest things, because just like you were hinting at, Juan, there's GPO, there's PowerShell, there's Intune. There's a million and one ways to change settings or attempt at changing settings. But we found that through time and time of doing this, that no matter how hard we tried to make Intune or one of those mediums work, it was never consistently actually making the change. And even if it would sometimes change the display value and tell you it was compliant or give you that check mark on the scan that it worked, the backing value, the actual functional compliance of that setting was never actually changed. So it was basically false positives over and over, which is why we really did go a complete 180. Didn't make it easy on any of us, but we built effectively our own local policy editor so that we're actually making the changes directly at the reg key, sec pool, and audit pool source, as opposed to trusting Microsoft.
Yeah. And I can totally relate to that when you talk about the registry, because many times, I mean, as the security has evolved, right? And MSPs are implementing all these different products. Like, okay, let's go and, we start with patching. That's your basic one. And you go through the patching, and then all of a sudden we do this vulnerability scan, and it gives us a red flag. I was like, well, that patch is installed. Why am I getting a red flag? And you go to read through it. I was like, oh, I need to go into a registry change to actually make it active. So it's like, I think you're covering all those different, all the bases there to make sure that, us as MSPs are making our clients secure and validate that, and that trust and verify that you just said. So I think that's a really unique approach in helping us be better and serve our clients a lot better.
That's a question, is how does it, if you would quantify how much you help a partner, and I'm not asking Juan, because Juan's math, he's so bad at math. So I'm never going to ask him any kind of math questions ever again, because he doesn't even answer the question. Anyway, so how do you quantify the importance of what you guys do and how much you help with MSP and or end user?
It's a fun question.
Can you quantify
Do you want to do the math?
I mean, how much work is involved? How much work do they save? Because we're in the world of AI and automate and everything, right? That's a fact, and that's
Yeah,
all to save time first off and make you more efficient and effective. I know I hate AI, Henry. I'm just going with the stupid ass AI conversations we have to at some point. I don't hate it,
Why
but
do you hate
AI? I don't hate it. I just don't like how people have turned it into like the messiah of everything. So
you worried you're going to be redundant soon?
Oh, I'm already. Have you heard me talk? I'm redundant as all hell. We're moving on. Thank you. So anyway, okay. So let's start with. Let's make this question easier for Henry.
Appreciate it.
When a partner, an MSP, implements your product, how much time do they save in work, percentage-wise, do you think, or how much more efficient do they become in percentages?
I'll answer it twice, I guess, because it depends on whether or not they're already doing it. If they're already doing it, 90% probably is what we're looking at. If they're not doing it, then it's 100%, right? Right. They weren't doing it, so now they are.
I mean, but isn't everybody sort of doing that anyway to some degree? Just that there's hiccups that take place.
If we were to look at
so naive.
If we were to look at the landscape of just asset configuration, right? So for those of us just listening, asset configuration, if you look at CIS, Center for Internet Security, they have the 18 controls. That's a priority list of things to get done. Priority 4 or control 4 is quite literally secure configurations. And this step is very commonly skipped because there's thousands of different settings that go into this. You don't just have to configure the OS, which alone is 500 settings, the browser, which is another 120 settings, and 365 settings, another 70. So there's thousands and thousands of recommendations just to meet this fourth requirement or fourth best practice requirement. And what we found when we went to market and just ongoing learnings is that this was skipped. It was skipped for easier or low-hanging fruit controls to do instead. And the ones who did attempt to do this realized very quickly that I can't just apply a template in GPO or Intune because there was no verification that the setting actually changed, and there's no reporting because then the auditor comes. They need to see, when did you change the setting? Who changed the setting? Is it currently in place? And there was no medium to do that. And because there was no medium to do it effectively, it was skipped over and over. So realistically, what we're doing, if you were to do this manually, we've talked to our partners and quantified this to the best we can. But if we estimate 3 minutes per settings, I think is what we estimated. If you take 3 minutes per setting, and let's just take the round number of 1,000 settings, I mean, that's whatever math that comes out to. Juan's the math guy here, but that is
3 times 1,000.
Yeah, 3 times 1,000 settings. That's how many minutes we're saving.
Just change the 1 to a 3, and the rest of the zeros stay in place.
Yeah,
and you're good. No.
Yeah, so that works.
I'm with a bunch of mathematicians, and this is amazing. We should do this all day long. Next month, we'll do a spelling bee.
So, but that's ultimately what we're getting at. We're saving hundreds of hours because that's not just one tenant. That is just one tenant. You have multiple tenants. You have to do that, and then each tenant, and not only each tenant, each machine may not be able to handle the same combination of settings. So you have to break fix. Do they need this? Will this work? And what Senteon has done is eliminated the entire break fix methodology, the template mentality, and ultimately automated it with a learning mode and a single click that changes all of the settings that will not cause disruption.
Nice.
The important thing that you said is that mapping. You know, we talk about it. And by the way, you're like a CIS guru. Like so many.
We've talked about it a lot.
yeah, so many webinars out there on CIS. So my hats off to you because when we starting that, or again, like our cybersecurity journey, you know, it's like, okay, which framework are we going to go with, right? And we went with CIS, and I mean, it has so many controls. And the nice thing about you guys is you actually mapping, understanding what that control means and what the changes you need to make in order to satisfy that control, because that part is difficult, you know, understanding what it means and what are the changes that you need to make. And then that's, you know, and the fact that you're actually showing that and displaying that you're meeting those in all the different frameworks, like all those different mappings, it is magical in order to know that you're secure and having those conversations with your clients or maybe with the IT department, depending on the size of the organization, right? Because that maybe I'm talking CIS, but they like NIST, or they like, you know, CompTIA or HIPAA, SOC, you know, and they be able to meet all those. And actually now we're talking the same language, right? We know which controls are we meeting, and which one, and how we keep them secure, and verifying that.
And it's especially hard for MSPs because they have to cater to multiple frameworks. They service, some MSPs are very targeted in a specific vertical, right? We do have partners who only service banks. So they really follow FFIC, some PCI guidance, but there's majority MSPs who service a dozen different frameworks. They may not even know all of the frameworks they need to follow because their client base is too diverse, right? So what we've tried to do and what we've done is within our reporting and our recommendations, you can take the setting that we recommend, it'll map to CIS, and then CIS themselves actually certify that this mapping relates to this framework. So we've, this actually goes into a new feature release coming out. We've added additional crosswalk frameworks, more internationally focused, but within reason here, we have CompTIA Trustmark in now. We are adding some cyber insurance mappings, and the international ones being ISO and Essential 8. And we even added the Cloud Security Matrix. Is that the one we did? CSA?
CSA, CCM, yeah.
Alliance, not Matrix.
Version 4.
Yeah. So we've been able to take all of the recommendations that are provided to us and then organize it in a digestible way for an MSP to say, hey, this client, they hate security, but now they can do the bare minimum that we have certified through CIS as the settings they need to follow.
That's a good conversation to have with a client that says they hate security.
A client would never say that to an MSP, right? Yeah. That never happens.
Never.
What would the conversation consist of exactly, though? Because most of them don't know what exists in that world. So how do you have that as a legitimate business conversation?
That is a great question.
Right. I mean, because you can use any acronym in the world, but if the client is a dentist, they have their own set of acronyms. They have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
Yeah. And
when I mean, they still believe HIPAA compliance is the fax machine. Is HIPAA compliance. So, I mean, there you go.
Yep. So when I work with our partners on helping them best sell this in, or if they need, like if they have to sell it in, a lot of MSPs will look at Senteon and say, this is a standard across the board. Standardizing my machines is important. But if you do have that stubborn client where you actually need to sell this, we have found that not talking about hardening is actually the more effective approach. So what they talk about instead is standardization. So they relate it. We'll just take the dentist, for example. Hey, when you have all of your tools in the same row every single day in the same spot, are you a little bit more effective and a little bit more professional when servicing your patient? Right? Of course, they're going to say yes. Yeah, that makes sense. Everything's in the same place. So Mr. Mrs. Dentist, what I need to do with your computers is get them all organized the same way and standardized to the same level. That way I can better manage and best support you. So over here, I work with a lot of our partners to sell on standardization instead of compliance, instead of security, because it's more relatable to their less mature audience.
The compliance conversations can be pretty useful, though I would say in tandem to that, just because a lot of the stuff that we are standardizing can be pretty annoying from an end user perspective. Like Juan, you were saying, they may not understand security. They may not understand like a lot of those very specific things. What they do understand is that it's a pain in the ass to hit Control Delete every time they have to sign in, or if they have to remember their username or their password has specific requirements they need to follow, right? Those kind of things that affect them day to day. Usually it's helpful there to help give them an understanding of why that needs to happen. And so you can say, yeah, that's something that is recommended because HIPAA requires it, right? For high trust, what have you. That usually provides a pretty good bridge of understanding as to why. Because usually the inherent security value, like you said, is not always that clear.
Yep.
A compliance conversation would be really strong. I feel like as long as it's delivered right, because it's easy to say, we have to follow the rules in order for this to happen. I think that's an easy conversation to have because these are the rules. They're not mine. They're appointed by this association.
Point somewhere else.
Exactly. Well, they have no choice. In order to be a doctor, you got to be in school for this long. You got to get these certifications. That's a rule. That was done. So, okay, we have to maintain that.
Yep.
So I like that.
Leveraging compliance is always a good way. I'd hate to say like compliance is becoming the new insurance security sell tactic, but it is very much something to bring top of mind, right? Hey, as a dentist, again, keeping on the same flow, you have standards you need to meet. You have recertifications for various things. Just like you, I have to do that for your computer. So it's really, the biggest thing I do is just try to make it relatable to their industry person they're talking with.
Yep. Juan, anything you want to add to this? Because
no, you mentioned I was going to go with insurance because I mean when it comes to that cyber insurance, it's growing and there's a lot of questions from all the different organizations and that's always I think a good entry point and good conversation to have. You combine the two, it's either your compliance or your insurance, and those go hand by hand. So,
it might be helpful. Let's pull up my screen really quick, and I'll just give a visual example of what we're talking about. So this, I'm just going to show a really quick report of Senteon. So this is looking at an individual device that we have already hardened. So most machines that we work with, and Sean, to your point, like MSPs are already kind of doing this. This is the most common result we see. About a quarter of the setting, not even a quarter of the settings are actually configured, about 18%. And then what Senteon has to do is go through all of this red, determine what is able to be changed without causing disruption, and then it'll actually make that change. And to really wrap up this compliance side, so it really paints the best picture possible, when we talk about these crosswalks, we have the setting with the compliance and the current option. You can go ahead and add whichever framework you want here. So if you're a CMMC, if you're a HIPAA, you'll notice some mappings have a spot, right? They're filled out. And then on the other one, they're not so filled out. So if you did have an extremely stubborn dental office, and you can basically say, hey, this is best practice to do all of these, but at minimum, you got to filter out these blanks. And at minimum, you have to do all of the settings that do have a mapping. So you can see all the settings listed here that a dental office would be required to do. So that's really how we try to empower our partners to sell on compliance. And also, I like to say first sell on just human to human with that standardization talk. But if you need to take it to the next level, I encourage them to go to the compliance route.
I feel like the compliance route still is human to human conversation in general, because you still have to talk about since the beginning of your first ever responsibility in life, you were handed roles that were given by an association or a council of some sort and told that these are the roles and that's all there is to it. So that's still human to human. We're used to that. It's just whenever you get into the weeds.
It's more enjoyable for me to talk about metaphors and standardization of dental equipment than boring handbooks of mappings. Creating this in our tool, I know Henry knows all about that, but I've heard it's a pain.
A lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Well, you're a lot of fun, Henry, obviously.
And you can take this off the screen, Simon. Thanks for letting me show it really quick.
So I'm curious about something, because you did mention when you first started that you guys do workstation, server, and you also mentioned browser hardening, which I thought it was very very interesting, because nowadays everything's cloud. All your employees are logging into one specific system, just using the browser. So what's that approach? How are you guys accomplishing that?
It ends up being a lot of actually very similar to the operating systems, in so much as we're still effectively managing settings, right? And where we manage them in this case is just still on the local system, and it's just how the browser is going to be interacted with by the end user. So right now, working with the edge settings, and even with like old Internet Explorer settings for some of the partners that still need old banking apps, we're making sure, honestly, a lot of the same things still applies. Old protocols are not being used. Things that are inherently vulnerable are turned off. I mean, the easy guys don't use the password or the browser build password manager if you have a different one. Don't pre-fill passwords.
No.
Don't use ActiveX. Sean, I'm sorry. I know it's hard. It's hard. You have to type. But
and why is it there? It's stupid. Don't give me the option then.
That's a very good point. Why is it even there? I mean, that's I don't think we're gonna have an answer in this room, but I mean, it is a good point. Like that's something that you may hear back if you're an MSP presenting to a customer. Why is it even there if it's not good? I
mean, obviously Google is so no ability to really anybody hack it ever your information, So I mean, God, it's 100% foolproof. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, but
I don't remember anymore.
No, I mean, it's a great question talking about the browsers too, because it's something I hear constantly, because I'm the one introducing this a lot of times for the first time to many MSPs and engineers, and a lot of time the conversation starts, oh, you're doing all the Chrome settings or the Edge settings within the browser. And the answer there is actually no. So just like Henry was saying, the settings that we're modifying, there's hundreds of these settings. They're great settings and they're extremely valuable, but they can only be configured from the registry, from the OS level. So there's hundreds of these settings that a lot of MSPs I talk to didn't even know how to go about the first step of configuring them, let alone what each of the 100 settings are. So our real goal here is to empower MSPs to take this incredibly difficult control of Control 4, the fourth most biggest bang for your security dollar investment, Control 4, and making it doable and able to automate it and able to do thousands of settings within just minutes. That's effectively what we're doing. So at the end of the day, something we've talked about internally and actually with one of our friends, man, blanking on his name, the MSP Geek guy. Anyway, man, Martin. I don't know why I can't think of Martin's name. Anyway, Martin. One of the cool things of Martin, how he envisioned where Senteon was going, and something we've talked internally is taking those MSP help desk employees who don't really have a security background or a very strong security knowledge base, right? And empowering them to break into the security landscape through security settings. Because our system's built to be so simple, so straightforward and intuitive, it will empower the help desk to kind of bridge that security conversation and help them be better and grow with the MSP a little bit faster.
Henry's face was of like faster, like hard.
No, he just cut out. Like he was lagging for me, so I was trying to figure out what he said.
Oh,
I was trying to figure out if that was my internet or his.
I just changed the entire company direction live on air, Henry. So we're good.
Oh, what else is new?
It was your internet, Henry, by the way, because all of us all got all that. So just let you know now.
What I pay for anyway.
Juan, would you like to add something to this now?
Well, and as things, even with the workstations and workstations and the browsers, a lot of those things are going to change. The nice thing is all this then is it's just automated.
Yeah.
So you bring all that automation.
One of the hardest things, right? If you just do a partial recommendation list, say you do 20 settings at a time, you're going to have to invest. Let's see, 20 goes into 100. How many times, everyone? 50? Is that right? So you have to invest 50 separate days. Now,
wait, 20 goes into 150 times?
I meant 1,000. My bad. Anyway, live on air. This is the real math show, everybody. Welcome to the Central Mafia Math Edition. It's super exciting. So, but if you try to do this in batches, like that is a fine approach, but you are going to be investing a lot more time. And that's where Senteon says, why do just a few at a time when we can automate all of it at once with the learning mode so that nothing actually breaks? So that's really where our value comes in. My value does not come in the math portion.
I'm just going to start giving Zach math problems and I'm just go with it.
Yeah.
I'm just make up random numbers.
Yeah, I'm just enjoying that they're going to Zach and not me in this conversation.
Because I thought I was going to be better off than talking to you about math because you suck at it too. Oh my God. Oh, God. Thank you.
I give you the same answer, just different units. That's what
So I asked Juan.
You asked a number, I give you a percent.
I said, what's the number of hours? And he's like 20%. And I was like, I asked for the number of hours. Like then the next time I said, so I figured he went to go the next time I asked the question. What's the percentage of? And he's like, this many hours. I'm like, I don't understand what you're not understanding there with the question. Yeah.
It's always the right answer, just the wrong measure.
At least the math is right.
Yeah.
Well, maybe. Who knows at this point? In his head it is because he never answered the hours or the percent. So I don't know which one it would be. So yeah. Anyway. Whew. All right. I lost my whole train of thought because I couldn't stop thinking about it.
I lost my whole screen. There you go.
I lost my whole train of thought because I couldn't get past how many times 20 fits into 100. 50.
It was in my head. I can stall and just show some more highlights. You want me just to hop back to it?
Yeah, show some highlights. Let's dig into some highlights.
All right.
What would MSP really care about at this point?
So The best highlight I have to share is actually going to be a highlight of our change tracking. So this goes into our initial value to where we don't actually trust Microsoft, and we're making these change at the reg key, sec pool, audit pool level. And you're able to click into a single machine, just like we are now, and you can see all of the settings that we're managing and what their target option is, so what they're supposed to be versus what they actually are. But the cool part is here, if you have your SOC 2 Type 2 renewal, they'll say, show me the change history, or your CMMC will be show changes to the baseline or insurance. We have a view history button associated with every setting. So this empowers MSPs to basically get the audit required data a lot quicker, because we're showing what this setting is, what it was set to, who's modifying it, and what time. And we're making all of this into an easy Excel export so they can utilize that data however fits for the auditor's request. So our big thing here is not only, and what I found here that people really are enjoying, it creates a lot more of accountability within the MSP. So if you do have some more senior level engineers, not to call out anyone, but sometimes we'll find they like to disable the UAC prompts or the UAC settings so that they can work 10 seconds quicker. They don't have to click that one button anymore. And this is actually holding the MSP owner and the engineers accountable for not making those modifications. And if they were to make those modifications outside of Senteon, you'll see the setting will drift. And that's where Senteon is also able to correct the drift unless they attempt to override it, at which point it will generate a new alert letting, hey, this setting is drifted and it's still drifted. So those are the two. Yeah.
Question. You said something aside from the actual act of doing what you're doing here. You said about holding them accountable. How do you know who did it?
Yeah. So I guess Henry can talk towards that here.
Is there a dashboard? Is there an alert? Is there a notification? Is there a tracking to get me to where, oh, this isn't done. Let me see why and when and how.
Yeah. So we've got quite a few things built into the platform to help you do that. We've got an annotation system, which apparently is not that common for these types of things, so people can note down exactly why they've made a change. That helps us build a bit of policy around that, especially when we're looking at exceptions or things that people have changed over time, just to make sure they have accessibility from like an operational perspective. And then also that change history that Zach was showing, it'll document for you if somebody changes it within the platform, who made that change, what their email was, or not why, but when they made the change. So all of that is available via documentation. And then in that last portion, Zach was showing the action center. When things do drift, there's usually a pretty good chance you can figure out based on the drift exactly what caused it. So in some cases, if it's been corrected already, it's like a one-time off drift. Look at the host name, know who that user is, can reasonably assume that either they got breached or they made a change. And then alternatively, if it's like completely failed, then that's probably something where it's more administrative that you're going to need to take a closer look at.
Okay. So so who has the administration rights, or who is that permission based from top down to, and how deep can you go on permissions?
It's role-based access for our solution. So standard administrator is going to have the ability to do it pretty much across the board for all the tenants. And then if you wanted to lower somebody, or you had somebody that needed only tenant access for like one specific tenant, you can adjust that as well. So you can get either view or edit permissions for those types of things. We're not getting too granular yet, because the solution really is designed to do one thing really well, and either you have permissions to do it or you don't. So
right.
Yeah,
that makes sense. There. So if it's a big organization, they have the ability to do like multi-tenant permission based, whatever, because you might run a certain group of clients that are yours or whatever. And then, okay.
Yeah, I will say the solution is typically efficient enough that we haven't seen too many people need to bring on like tenant specific users to do things. You usually got like one or two guys that can handle all of it. So that hasn't been used too much, but it is available.
Shout out to Aurora Tech here. I was working with them this morning, and they do leverage it quite intensively. So that was pretty cool to see.
That is. That's good. I think because it's a big question always about the multi-tenant permission-based capabilities, because then it turns into extra work. So the fact that you're stressing that it's designed to do one thing, does it well, and it's global, and it's almost like a set it and forget it kind of thing. That is so invaluable at that point, I feel like.
Yeah, and it's really an industry thing that we're noticing. A lot of MSPs and even some of the just general research conversations we have at shows is businesses are starting to want a pointed solution. The all-encompassing, all-in-one isn't as popular as it once was. I think people are maybe realizing, single point of failure, defense in depth doesn't work if you have one platform doing everything, but something's changing that we're seeing on the trend side to where having one thing do one thing very well is preferred as opposed to the all-in-one solution. So I'm not sure, you guys can probably talk towards this even more. Are you guys seeing the same thing, or are you seeing more of that all-in-one type of mentality still?
I mean, speaking from the vendor side of things, it's always, the more they can cover in one all-in-one is good without it becoming too watered down as far as what it's actually doing for you. Because then you run the risk of, when you do that, now you have to buy other complementary products to do the job it said it's going to do. So all-in-one with a certain specific deliverable, sure. All-in-one with a universal business use outcome, no.
Yeah. Oh, you're muted, Jit.
Juan, we can't hear you, so you're doing really great in this today. Thanks, Juan, for coming.
Thanks for coming. He can't fix it either. He's still struggling.
Yeah, just go talk. Let's see if we can hear you. Nope, just log out, come back in. We'll be here when you get back. Don't worry.
Yeah. The other piece that, on that same note, from the vendor side, we definitely want to do more within our scope. So 100% hear you on that. What the feedback I'm getting from our existing partners is they want us to do more. Everyone wants their vendor to do more, but they've been very deliberate in asking us politely to stay in our lane and not to bridge out and try to do too many, let's say, different layers of security, as opposed to just expanding within our one hardened layer.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I feel like that you leave the complex, larger thing to companies like ConnectWise, and Microsoft. Let them be the ones that are the core. Well, we have the core, and you guys become more of the complementary to this product. You become the extra mile. That's the one thing that most vendors do. My God,
good thing we have that integration coming out soon too. That's a hell of a time to plug it.
Yeah, let's talk about that. You're welcome.
Henry's the one working on that, so it's all him.
API, woo!
Yes.
Oh, so you don't have it, Juan. You're still struggling. You got the wrong port or something.
Yeah, well, we can't hear you still.
Yep. Nope. But again, doing great. Thank you.
Appreciate your presence.
Good, Henry.
But we are excited to announce that, so we're finally releasing a public version of our API here to allow people to start pulling the statistics from our tooling into other platforms. And we're specifically structuring it in a manner that's more of a rolling release type of thing. I think we've earned our allowance to learn our lessons about things that we think are important versus things that people that use the tool think are important. And so we've got a basis to build that out of, and we're looking to just gather feedback basically as we put it out and adjust it accordingly. So it's being designed in a manner to make that reasonable, shall we say.
No, that's fair. Yeah, that is fair, because your line says it all. It's not what you think is wanted. You have to actually hear what's wanted. And a lot of times when vendors fall, MSPs also, by the way, it's not just vendors, where they fall short is they're not actively listening to what the clients or prospects are saying to what they really want. That's when you get caught up in that. You throw down into the weeds about everything that's almost irrelevant. Like, look at this cool feature I made that when you hit the button, toast will be made somewhere in the country. And it's like, who cares? But
you're not care about that. Let me know when you release that.
See, exactly. No, it's not. No. Anyway, no.
It is one of the larger challenges. Communicating and understanding what our audience wants is pretty straightforward. We have a very communicative heavy approach with all of our partners. So we come very much in line with our development and our priorities, but it is a struggle sometimes from at least my experience, being a, limited resource team. There's not a ton of people. We are making a few hires, which we're excited to announce next week, but we are knowing if the feature we created, even if asked for by the customer, is actually being utilized is sometimes a challenge, or being utilized in the way we thought it would be. So it really forces us to talk even more. Hey, we built what we thought you asked for, but did you use it? Did it perform the way you want? And having those conversations on a more reoccurring standpoint is something we can still improve on, but I imagine is a challenge for every company out there.
one of those things is just like the devil's always in the very specific details. Like Sean says, it's useless to have a button that can make toast anywhere in the country, which is probably true. But I have a button that can make toast in Zach's RV anytime I wanted.
I would love
that.
That
would
button.
Probably be pretty useful. Well, as long as I have the button.
No, we should give our customers the button. I'm going to get Home Assistant hooked up, and then they can get me toast whenever they want, and it'll be like a whole inside joke. Zach's eating toast.
Yeah, and then you're going to burn your RV down.
Yeah, and be broke because you have to buy bread all the time for toast.
I bake my own bread. You don't think I had a COVID hobby? Come on, it translated post COVID, and it's incredible bad.
Wait, you baked it? Doesn't it require measuring and doing math?
No.
God. No.
I have a little flour scale, and
that's math. That's math.
No, that's reading.
But the robots do the math.
I don't do math there. Hit this weight. And I did just me and Miranda just removed our oven and upgraded to a Nova electric oven, which can actually proof my bread for me, and it even does dry sous vide, which is brand new. It's incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, I will say PitchIT funded that oven 100%. Incredible use of the funds.
You're welcome. Now for our next episode will be baking, a live baking show.
I'm all in. Just let me know what add-ins you want in the bread, and I'll ship it out to everyone who wants it.
I don't think I can watch Zach bake.
It's
gonna hurt somewhere.
I'm gonna come there, and we're gonna do it live from there.
You're gonna come to the rig? Hell yeah!
You think I'm joking until I'm there?
Doesn't know what he's promising.
I know, like I will be in on that. Yeah, Juan's coming too.
He just can't confirm.
We can be able to hear him.
You can't talk at all, right? Just yell out if you're not going. Just say the word yes, that we can hear it. Juan's paying for my ticket to come too. It's amazing, right, Juan?
What a guy!
Just if you can vocalize this, if we can hear it in audio, that you're just say it out loud. No, if it's no. So yeah. Okay. Anything else you guys want to add? No habla.
I also meant to ask, Sean, you kicked off the show saying you've wrote 2024 wrong bunch of times. I don't know the last thing I wrote with a pencil. What are you doing that you need to write the full length date?
I'm buying a new house, another house.
Adults need to sign documents.
Yes, I'm buying another house is what I'm doing. So as I'm between typing it in and also writing it in, I start on 2024 each time. I'm like, shit. So yeah.
Okay.
Otherwise, I don't even have a checkbook. So I don't write anything typically. So first off, do you know how hard it is to actually write words when you don't forever?
Yeah, it's pretty tough.
It's difficult all of a sudden. I went to write, print, and I was just like, where's this go? It was
I also remember, I don't know what it's called, but there was if you have checks, you also have to have a separate book where they balance or something.
What's in the checkbook?
That's math, Zach. Don't worry about it.
It's a checkbook. You balance
before my time. I'm all plastic.
Yeah, it's me too. All right, so we have a few minutes left. Anything else you guys want to add before we hop off air? We
are heading to Rite of Boom this year, so very excited. It'll be our first appearance there after about 3 years of people saying we should go. We again had the beautiful PitchIT earnings to make it possible for us to go. So ConnectWise really doing the most so we can get out there more. Really thankful to the program, what it did for us. So kudos to that, and shout out to whoever that next class is going to be. Definitely worth applying. Outside of Rite of Boom, we will be doing MSP Geek, and we are doing rolling updates, man. Full set of browser, Chrome, Edge, Firefox will come after. We'll be doing Microsoft Suite hardening as well, and a shit ton of integrations to come.
Awesome.
So Zach glazed me over, but if you're at Zero Trust World as well, which is the same time as Rite of Boom, I'll be walking the floor there. So come hit me up.
You don't count, Henry, apparently.
Yeah, apparently I don't.
I'm sorry. You do count if you do math, but you don't count as far as you're just not relevant to him. That's fine. You're relevant to me, Henry.
And we are looking at doing some swag bags. So if you buy Senteon, you may even get your own hat. So it's the protection that won't go soft, everybody. So keep in mind, it's worth it.
My Lord.
Juan's laughing, and we just can't hear him. I love it so much. Juan's going to be the next customer because he wants a swag bag, not that he actually needs hardened devices.
Look at this cool hat, God. company we're buying this because I wanted this hat. All right. So we'll see you at, you said at Right of Boom, and
Right of Boom's next, MSP Geek, and then we're going to be getting that IT Nation next.
Secures in June. Yeah, June. Yes. All right, good. Well, Juan, anything? Okay, great. No. Thank you all for tuning in into another great episode. And Juan Mack is having an episode right now of Central Mafia Partner First webinar series. I'm just watching Juan as I say it. He's so annoyed because he can't be involved, and he just wants to repeat whatever I say because that's what Juan does. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. We will see you guys in literally a couple weeks for the next episode. Zach, Henry, thank you guys. I will see you both very soon. Juan.
Pleasure as always, Sean.
Happy
nice to meet you, Juan.
Thanks for having us.
Pleasure all Zach's. Bye, everybody.